Tonight, in our coverage, a report by the United Nations accuses Israel of sexual and gender-based violence in Gaza. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Aisha Ashraf. Prime Minister-designate Mark Carney is planning a smaller cabinet as he prepares to take office. Sources say only 15 to 20 ministers will be sworn in at Rideau Hall on Friday, with other ministers being reassigned or dropped. However, key figures in Canada-US relations, including Foreign Minister Mélanie Joly and Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc, are likely to stay. Outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will officially resign, dissolving his 37-member cabinet. The transition is being treated as a fresh administration, with Trudeau's staff clearing offices. Former Public Safety Minister Marco Mendicino is leading Carney's transition team. Carney is also gearing up for a federal election expected before Parliament resumes on March 24th. He has been meeting top officials, including Ontario Premier Doug Ford and Canada's U.S. Ambassador. Trade tensions with the U.S. are high on Carney's agenda. A three-day meeting of G7 foreign ministers has begun today in Quebec, with peace and stability topping the agenda. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is among those attending. Earlier, Rubio had dismissed speculation about annexing Canada, saying it would not be discussed at this G7 meeting. Canadian Foreign Minister Mélanie Joly opened the meeting, noting the significance of hosting, as the group marks 50 years of cooperation. Joly highlighted recent G7 efforts, including responding to the global pandemic, supporting Ukraine's sovereignty, and addressing foreign interference. The foreign minister underscored the priority of peace and stability. These include discussions on continued support for Ukraine and achieving a lasting resolution to the ongoing conflict in the region. Other key issues on the agenda include addressing geopolitical tensions, maritime security, and ensuring long-term stability in regions such as the Middle East, the Indo-Pacific, and Africa. The G7 forum brings together Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. A new United Nations report released today says Israel used sexual violence as a war tactic in Gaza. The 49-page report by the UN Independent Commission of Inquiry says Israel systematically destroyed women's healthcare facilities and used sexual violence as a war strategy. The report claims Israeli forces have imposed measures to prevent births in Gaza, violating the Rome Statute and the Genocide Convention. It also cites a surge in maternity deaths due to restricted medical supplies, calling it a crime against humanity. The report further accuses Israeli forces of forced public stripping and sexual assaults against Palestinian detainees as a form of punishment since October 2023. The findings come as the Commission examined Israel's attacks on hospitals, widespread use of heavy weapons in civilian areas, and destruction in Gaza. The Commission concluded these actions disproportionately harmed women and children, increasing sexual violence and severely impacting reproductive health. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejects the accusations, calling the findings biased and anti-Semitic. Israel maintains it strictly prohibits misconduct among its military forces and investigates purported violations. This comes as South Africa had brought a case against Israel to the International Court of Justice alleging genocide. Israel, bound by the Genocide Convention, was ordered by the court earlier this year to prevent genocidal acts during its war against Hamas. These findings could provide evidence for potential war crimes prosecutions at international courts. Israel's total blockade of Gaza has entered its 12th day, with no food, fuel, or medicine allowed in the besieged enclave. This comes as a report released today by the United Nations accuses Israel of committing genocidal acts against Palestinians in Gaza. Israeli forces have reportedly fired at Palestinian homes in Gaza City Shuja'iyya neighborhood. No casualties have been confirmed. Israeli forces also killed 6 people near the Netzarim corridor and a young girl in Deir al-Balah. As the war rages on, mediated negotiations between Israel and Hamas continue in Doha. A U.S. proposal suggests a 60-day ceasefire extension and the release of 10 Israeli prisoners. U.S. President Donald Trump has clarified Palestinians will not be expelled from Gaza, reversing his earlier statements. At this point in time, more than 61,000 Palestinians have been killed. The updated figure includes civilians missing under the rubble and those presumed dead. More than 111,941 have been injured. A new ad by Dutch modest fashion brand Merrachi has reignited debates over France's strict secularism and its restrictions on Islamic attire. The animated video, which depicts the Eiffel Tower draped in a hijab, has drawn both praise and criticism. Supporters hail the ad as creative and bold marketing, applauding its challenge to France's policies on Muslim women's dress. Social media users have celebrated the campaign. Some jokingly welcomed the Eiffel Tower's conversion to Islam. Others called it a brilliant way to spark discussion on religious freedom. However, critics, particularly from France's far right, slammed the ad as provocative and an attack to national identity. National Rally MP Lisette Paulet calls the ad an offense to French values. Some right-wing supporters are warning of an Islamist takeover. They are demanding a ban on Merrachi stores and website in France. The controversy comes amid a long history of government bans on Islamic dress. France banned hijabs in schools in 2004, followed by a niqab ban in public spaces in 2010, and in 2023, the French government also banned abayas in schools. Most recently, hijabs for athletes were banned in last year's Paris Olympics. Rights groups argue these policies unfairly target Muslim women, turning secularism into an ideological weapon. 3 students from Memorial University of Newfoundland are vowing to take legal action against the university for violating their rights to free expression. The students were charged for trespassing when they staged a pro-Palestine protest last June. They are part of a nationwide movement demanding universities divest from companies linked to Israel and provide more support to Palestinian students. Police forcibly removed them on July 5th from a campus building in St. John. The Crown has now dropped the case, saying prosecution is not in the public interest. Their lawyer, Kyle Reese, insists the students were wrongfully evicted while protesting peacefully. One protester, Sadie Meese, welcomed the decision. Meese says their fight is not over as Memorial University still invests in companies linked to the war in Gaza. Another student protester, Devani Ellis, warns the incident sets a dangerous precedent for campus activism. The university defends its decision, stating it supports peaceful protests but enforces security rules. Concordia University in Montreal is facing backlash after dismissing a student vote calling for severing ties with Israel. In a landslide victory, students voted 885 to 58 in favor of supporting the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. The voting was held on January 29th and saw record attendance. Despite overwhelming support, Concordia's administration has dismissed the vote as deeply troubling. The university accuses students of intimidation tactics and swiftly punished the participating students by restricting its access to campus spaces. The university has a history of cracking down on free Palestinian activism. Last fall, it fired the director of Art Gallery for opposing genocide. It has blocked events featuring free Palestinian speakers and has called police on student protests. Concordia also hired a private security firm founded by a former Israel soldier. Many see the administration's stance as catering to wealthy pro-Israel donors. Figures like Miriam Rowland and the Azrieli family have donated millions to the university, funding partnerships with Israeli institutions. And now for some special news for those living in the GTA. There are not one, but 2 separate events taking place in March. So mark your calendars and be sure to attend with your family, neighbors, and friends. The GTA Ramadan Festival presents Ramadan, a special weekend of Ramadan celebration. Note the place and time on your screens. The event will be held on Saturday and Sunday, March 15th and 16th at Red Rose Convention Center, Mississauga. Special highlights include free gift hampers for the first 200 families and 3,000 free giveaways. And hold your breath, there is a free diamond ring in the mix as well. The event will be open from 12 p.m. to suhoor with loads of sensational halal delicacies to enjoy, a special children's segment called the Kids Story Time, and a Naat and Nasheed competition for you to showcase your talent. And remember, entry is free on both days. So, see you there, inshallah. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News Canada. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV.